Good morning. Hope everyone had a fantastic weekend. And reviewing everything over the weekend, it just seems that the market only can go up from here. Very well, there's a little to suggest a little caution, but only a little. Trends are up in multiple time frames, new all-time highs. Some laggards are playing little catch up there. The transports and the Russell, we'll take a look at that. But breadth is a little bit of a concern, but if things can take off to the upside here, and we do have this Fed announcement coming on Wednesday, which is expected to have this decrease 100%. So we'll see what happens. You can't argue with the trend, and now we've got a red bar ignored on the weekly spiders here, which can only be construed as being bullish. It could have pulled back in a normal way, meaning it's in an uptrend. Red bar, it never broke the low though. So as it's been moving up, just a really simple analysis, not even looking at a moving averages or did it break a prior bar's low. So even when things appear, as they did here, to get extended, and at resistance, could have said, well, it should pull back from here. And it never broke a prior bar's low until here. And when it did, there was a red bar ignored. And then the topping tail was ignored. So continued bullish price action. We did get the pullback here and the wide range bar. And now, as I said, a red bar ignored. And, the void up above. So nothing to stop it. And while we don't have a pivot here, common sense says at least be aware of where the prior bar's low is on a weekly time frame, which is going to be the area of this pivot low right here on the daily. So every time, once you get a pivot, 3 higher lows to the left and right, once it makes a new high, we mark that off as major support, and a violation of that violates the trend. Right? Pretty simple. So that is not in even a possibility or a question. I shouldn't say possibility, but a question at this point, since, the spiders poked up to make a new all-time high on Friday, and even a break of Friday's low, let's say a close below that low today, for whatever reason, I don't know it's possible, but if it was, that would still only be one piece of information, would be, a valuable piece of information to say, well, here we have a breakout failure, but that wouldn't violate the trend. And then, we take it from there bar by bar. So things look like they're going to go higher. They're kind of flattish here, showing things are up a little bit. And interestingly, you see the NASDAQ futures here are up almost 9 points. But the Qs are actually, they're below the high here. So again, the breakout to a new all-time high was a small bar. It was, relatively quiet on Friday, but the same picture on the weekly. Red bar ignored, pushing up to an all-time high, and things are pretty quiet here this morning so far. And we'll see how they go, whether they clear this high. And if they do, well, we'd expect them to go higher, and same story. Friday's low is our first reference point of support. And, it's not a big bar, so any kind of retracement into it, really not a big deal unless we get a break below it. And then there's support even there. So it's kind of been a grinder on the way up. And, so again, the assumption is it's going to continue to go higher. S&Ps just, under Friday's low here. And the futures was a new closing high. But it didn't poke up above this area here. And so far this morning, as I said, it's pretty quiet. Market's waiting for some whatever information, earnings reports. I think Apple is tomorrow. Usually that's after the close. So we'll have to wait and see for that. And then Wednesday's the big Fed day. And so far, just a quiet opening here for Monday morning. NASDAQ futures, same story, real quiet consolidation. Here where it tried to go down, resulted in a bottoming tail bar. So bullish action and bar by bar analysis, it keeps you connected to what is. So as prices go up, you may say, well, geez, they're going up for X amount of time. They got to pull back. They got to pull back. Well, in reality, they don't have to pull back. I mean, at some point, you could say they were extended, but are they extended? They're not far from the 20. They're not getting far from minor support. And it just seems like week to week, up, a little pullback up, a little pullback up, a little pullback. Pretty controlled, kind of quiet, slow, plodding uptrend here in the summer. So, and we just continue to do the factory work. Prior bars low, prior swing low, trend is still up, trend is still up, biases, it'll continue to go up. Now the Dow has been lagging, like it's had its, laggards there, Boeing and a few others, but it's more or less a bull kind of a flag here. Even though it's made a lower swing high, it's no big deal because it's still above the major support. It's still above what we call minor support. And so what we're looking for here is, can it break above this red bar's high? And if it does that, I think it's a bunt to new all-time highs. And even if it violates that low and makes a lower high, lower low, I just like that pattern because it's still well above major support and it wouldn't be a deep retracement. So not until the retracement becomes pretty deep into this area that we question the trend, but the trend is still up until it violates that low it's got to be on a closing basis. But the depth of retracements put trends in question, meaning just common sense. If it ran up from this low to that high and it came all the way back down to this low, something's wrong because that's not what happens within a strong uptrend. So we'll see. Oil, just, the same story here. As I look through all these markets, really nothing's happening. Markets are just waiting for whether it's earnings, the Fed announcement, China, whatever. Things are just kind of chopping around quiet here. But there's some things moving, and this should be interesting. After the close today is the meatless burger going to report, which they expect to be a loss. But, that thing is just took off to the moon last week, and it's a bit extended. So I don't think, I shouldn't say, I think thinking can be to your detriment in the markets, but maybe it just pushes up to $300. Who knows? Nonetheless, this is what we call starting to get extended because it's not only extended from the 20, it's getting extended from any price support. So the thing is, when it gets extended from support, traders want to buy pullbacks to support. Now there's no support. Bonds. Hold on, guys. Bonds, same story, just chopping around here. Last week, we talked about this shaping up as a possible head and shoulders top, but it would have to break below this low, so we're waiting. And if it takes off, well, then historically, it's going to be, it should be a big move since it's consolidating at this resistance that's over here. And so far, this is, pretty bullish price action. That topping tail went down a little bit. It's going sideways here. So just, another message of indecision for the moment. There's a lot of chop going on. Gold also consolidating, a little blip here to the upside. I didn't realize I had that on a 15-minute chart. We usually look at a 60 to condense the data. So really not much going on. And that was a good example of being aware of what's happening in a higher time frame. So I wasn't even aware that I had that on a 15, but here's a wide range bar. And we pay attention to wide range bars because, you know, these bars are relatively narrow, there's narrow bodies. So a wide range bar says, hey, this is getting active here. What's the potential? And sure, I mean, as a day trader, moving up to here, which this suggests, you could take advantage of it, but you got to put it in perspective of what's happening here. It was a pretty sharp move down and it's just chopping around here. So, you know, higher time frames put shorter time frame patterns in perspective of the big picture. Silver, same story, just consolidating here after a bullish move. Expectation is gold and silver are going to go higher. They're just consolidating their gains. And the Russell here is what Dan calls a bear sandwich. So it was this blast off bar here to the upside. And a lot of times you get narrow range bars in the 1, 2, 3 type of pattern that we look for quite often. And this came all the way, well, not all the way back down. I thought it was going to come all the way back down intraday when it was down here, and then it held. But it retraced more than 50% and closed more than 50% into the big green bar. And then Friday, it just retraced the whole red bar. So I wouldn't say it's unusual price action. We do see it, but it's not something that you see all the time. But when we see it, we take note of it because, you know, while it, you know, it's erratic, it's bullish. Right. Big blast up, came down, negates the red bar. And of course, it's got to clear these highs, just like the Qs have to clear their highs, the spiders have to clear their highs, and so on. So the message is pretty much the same across the board. That overall bullishness, markets are expecting that Fed easing, and I guess to go higher from there. One thing that I noticed is this wide range bar in the semiconductors, which have been the leaders. So wide range bar, you know, and this is getting a little extended as it start accelerating vertically, and you get a wide range bar. And this didn't participate in any upside or bullish action on Friday. So buyers, I think, are getting a little tired here. Trend is still up and it's bullish, but you know, you see something like this, it just says this isn't the time to be entering the position. The last thing I'm going to show you is the market internals. So we got sentiment here at a bearish level. Oh, here's my shoot. Trying to get a little drawing tool out here. Right. Pushing up toward a bearish level. However, we don't get a signal. I take note of it because when the wrong way option traders get a little too excited, as they did on Friday, I believe it was, kind of put a cap on things for a while until they start backing off. But breadth has been making, you know, lower highs, which tells us that internally the breadth is obviously narrow. So you don't have a broad participation here. Now, that doesn't mean the markets can't go higher. It's just something we take note of. And if we should get a blast off to the upside this week on the Fed announcement, this probably comes up here. And then we get agreement between breadth and sentiment, which would tell us better start thinking about, you know, the exits short term, and that breakouts and continuation patterns to the upside are likely to result in accidents, meaning failures. So we'll keep an eye on that and see how that shapes up as well. And that's it for me. All yours, Dan.
All right, thanks. Hope everyone had a great weekend. I've been looking for any, you know, problems in our inventory or gifts. I see one gift on DPZ here. We got a nice gap down. We have a bear call credit spread, so I'll be, you know, looking to cover half 5-minute high. Everything else, everything looks good, but let's go through them real quick. In the weekly, Adobe, we have a put spread. Cyber, put spread, looks great. Deer, put spread, looks great. Lulu, came in a little bit. We have a put spread, but no adjustments necessary. Romeo Hotel, put spread, looks fantastic. Uber, we're short naked puts on that wide range igniting on Friday. Zulu Mike, put spread, looks great. We covered half. And Zulu Sierra, put spread, looks great. So that's always a good feeling when you got no problems and our inventory is performing. ACN, ooh, that would have been nice if it gapped up there. Look at that late day breakout setup. I'm gonna have to put that one in my scrapbook. You know, you all know what I do, always trying to, when I see something good, I'll throw it in my file, and that's how I make those MT live lessons. Crowd, we have a put spread. That looks good. Fitch put spread, looks great. GoDaddy long stock. Came in a little bit, and that was a candidate to leg into a covered call, but they don't have any weeklies. HFC, long stock, looks great. It's a 1, 2, 3, 4 continuation. MIC, short stock. Miller Herman, long stock. That's what I'm sitting in the chair, made by them. Oxy has earnings coming up, so we're gonna have to get out of this thing, and oil's just been lagging. But we're long stock there. We have two banks, STI, STT. They both look great. STT you can add. Uber, we're also long stock. Wix, put spread, slopping around like a fish out of water, but we're short the 140 puts there. And also Zulu Sierra. We have the same put spread for Friday. Actually, we have two trades on this. We're long stock also. Yeah, we entered the put spread first, and then when we got this 1, 2, 3, we bought stock. All right, let's look at gappers now. This Beyond, Greg mentioned, has earnings, and I promise you with 99% certainty that we will be selling a call spread on this soon, provided they're liquid. I wanted to sell one for Friday on the bearish fall here in the morning, but they were too spreading. That's the only reason I didn't do it. Whether this gaps, I'd prefer it to gap up, to get an exhaustion gap and then some more short covering, and then we just wait for a 15-minute bearish pattern tomorrow morning and then sell out of the money calls. Or if it gaps down or even sideways, then we do a 30-minute low. But that's getting pretty extended. Look at this. IPO, 50 bucks, and now it's 235. That's a little extended. CTB, 2680, nasty gap. Wow. It's amazing to me. These stocks are in business for decades, and then 1 quarter can wipe out so much shareholder value. TSEM, I kept this. Oh no, this is not on my list from over the weekend. It's a new one, but I like this one. Look, daily, weekly, monthly. I wish it was gapping up right to 19 bucks. Then it would be a no-brainer 5-minute high. But it still looks great. Let me see if that was earnings. $7.29. Yeah, so I guess that's earnings. Oh, that's the foreign semiconductor. I'm putting that thing right here. That looks great. Disney, up a little bit here. In a bullish pre-market, they had nice sales on Lion King. Okta, Barron's had a negative article on this sector being, it overpriced. Okta, though, is gapping up. So Okta doesn't care. So remember we did a MT Live on Trading News? A stock that acts bullish to bearish news and has a bullish pattern is bullish. That's a beautiful put spread candidate now for Friday. And I like it better because of what I just said. So now it's flat, but there's no pattern there. It had a bearish gap down on Thursday. And, I remember I was looking for a call spread on that on Friday. Let's look again, McGraw. Workday, it's a big old sloppy mess. So I'm just going to delete that one. But I like these two, Okta and Now. 245, I don't know if this is a bio or what's going on, but it's getting whacked in half. PCG, Barron said they're in bankruptcy, but there could be some bottom fishing. And I got mixed messages, and I'm not messing with a bankrupt stock. If you were in a hedge fund, maybe you could, do some arbitrage, whatever, on, their bonds. And SP 131, way the heck down here. That's leaving a lot of pain. Let's keep an eye on that. Hey, Tala and everyone else. On deck had, wow, I remember trading this thing. I think that wide range bar when it was around $5, yeah. That's an ugly gap on deck. Those are some of those, I think, platforms for lending money or investing in people's projects, something like that. I can't tell where this is gapping, and it's just a mess. I'm deleting it. India, nice. Here's a beautiful gaparoo. Red bar ignored, bullish close, and the gap's not too excessive, folks. This is that's a beautiful gap pattern. Let me check earnings. Oh shoot, it's tomorrow. But that's all right. We could do that. Then it's just a day trade to us. That's a nice gap trade. And then, part two would be like 5-minute high, something like that. AMG 9080. It still needs more work. It's a bearish 1, 2, 3 on the monthly. It's a bottoming pattern. I don't like the way it trades and low volume. MCY, can't tell where it's trading. CTB, we already looked at. Cent 385. That just kind of looks like a penny stock toy. It's a bullish gap. If you get it's swapping around. I got no interest in that. EXAS 109.50. This would be a tier 1 gap if it was gapping right here to 113 or slightly lower. Still looks lower. I'll put that in a different window on my other computer. Let me adjust this DPZ. 1 second. Grub. This is kind of, this flagpole is not big enough unless you start the flagpole way down here. And then you could say that's a sloppy bull flag into the gap fill, and now it's gapping up. Very bullish gap there. So it might be a good day trade, but it has earnings tomorrow. Because that was going to be a fantastic put spread idea. Mylan's merging with Pfizer. Oh, okay. Yeah, our grub is up too a little bit. All right, Pfizer down on the news now. That's a big old mess. McGraw, this came from you. eBay, it's sloppy, but I like the sideways action deep into this ugly red bar. So maybe 30-minute high on eBay would be okay. Yeah, Okta, yes, Okta looks great. These are my three best gappers right here. TSEM, Okta, and India. I'm not as aggressive as Alex. I like waiting 5 minutes minimum. And I also want the mothership, the market, to be with us, unless something's genuinely on its own page. But yeah, you heard my story on Okta. I don't need to say it again. Golf Hotel, I like Friday's close. It's not to all-time highs. You see this mess on the left, but daily looks good. Financials look higher. I have Goldman on my watch list. There was an article in Barron's about some of these car part things getting geared up for automated cars. And I like the monthly on a few of them. Not mTOR as much, but these other three. Well, they're not doing anything from the article, but if you're trading it off the monthly, it has to take out the high. Delphi. Dan is the best in terms of the monthly. Look at this price void. Of those four, I like Dan the best. Hey, I like myself. IGV is the sector. It's a sector for those software stocks. IJH looks higher. UNH I have as a put spread idea over Friday's high. Sky has Google in it, so that looks good. And DV